Hello, my devs. So today we're going to talk about my siblings, the ones that I grew up with, the ones that went through this ordeal with me, the ones that have been there with me from the very beginning until now, and the ones that, support me, obviously. Duh. So let's start with my youngest sibling. So I have two brothers and then one older sister, and I'm 2 years apart from my sister and 2 years apart from my youngest brother, and then a whopping 7 years apart from the youngest brother. So that was a huge gap. Me and the siblings that are closest in age have the same dad, but then my youngest brother's dad is my stepfather. And so for the purposes of this video, we'll call my youngest sibling Kelly. The next one, I don't know, we'll come up with a name later. And then, of course, a name for my sister later on in the segment. But let's start with Kelly. So Kelly was born in the same state that my mom and my stepfather met in. And he moved here like right after, I think he was like barely a year old whenever he moved here. I helped raise him, essentially. I helped change his diapers. When he was being homeschooled, I helped homeschool him. Why? I don't know, because, again, stepfather is crazy. He never really got spanked. He never really got in trouble because I guess because he was my stepfather's, he was just like, oh, no, he's perfect. I don't know. No resentment. Absolutely not. No resentment there. It's not his fault. He was a very, my stepbrother, my brother, he's not my stepbrother, he's my brother. So Kelly was a very bright young little boy, very enthusiastic about things, very smart, very intelligent, very imaginative. But he had a lot of security things, like a security, like a security blanket, but not one of those things. Which makes sense now. I mean, I hear that kids have that whenever they're stressed out or whenever there's tension at home. So, I mean, that makes sense. He didn't go to public school on account of my stepfather being my stepfather, and he wanted all of us to be secluded and isolated. And he didn't want to cut his hair. He had beautiful blonde hair that we used to braid, and it was really, really long. It was longer than my hair probably has ever been and is ever going to be, so a little just there. But anyway, he wanted to keep it long. So one day when Kelly was doing his schoolwork, this is just one of the stories that, I mean, this one stands out to me because it was kind of like the beginning of the end to me, I feel like. So he was doing his schoolwork and he went to go show his dad his schoolwork because he was super proud of himself and, whatnot. And for whatever reason, whenever he went in the room to go show him his achievements, he got slapped in the face, and I really couldn't tell you why because I was in another room, so I don't know what happened. All I know is that he went in there to show him, he got slapped in the face, and he came out and he looked me dead in the face and said that he hated him. And I think that at that moment I was like, you know what, dude, I hate him too, and this bro gotta go. Like, we can't be doing this forever. This can't be our life. This is not how our story is supposed to go. And I remember looking at Kelly and I was like, this is not how your story is supposed to be. So anyway, I mean, I never wanted Kelly to think less of his father because you shouldn't think less of your parents. And I never wanted Kelly to know what was going on because I never wanted him to think, oh, because that's my father, that's in my DNA. And if they hate him, then they hate me. And that's not true. Yes, I hate his father, but I love Kelly with all of my heart. He is my brother. I worry that when all this went down, I worried that Kelly would start to feel like an outsider, like outside of the family, not a part of us. And I worried that he would think because of his stepfather doing this, that we would hate him, or that because somehow he's related to him that he has to follow, like that it's a genetic thing. But, since then, I mean, we've talked and, things have been said and, we've discussed things, and I don't think that he's as worried about it now as he was before, but I do still think that that is a worry in his mind. I have fought with Kelly since then, and I hated myself for it because, I'm this type of person where I only fight with people that I love and that I care about. And one, I only fight with them because I know that they're not going to go anywhere because I love them and I care about them and they love me and care about me. But I also fight with them because I want more for them, and it frustrates me if I see that they're not getting everything that they deserve, or if I feel like they're not pushing themselves enough. And I wouldn't say it's a very terrible thing, but it isn't something that I like about myself because it definitely pushes people away. I have a couple of friends right now who aren't talking to me for this very reason. So that's something that I want to change, but at the same time, I know that I fought with Kelly since then, and it really makes me feel terrible because, I mean, I do love him and I don't want him to think anything different, and I don't want him to think that I don't support him or that I don't consider him family. And I want him to be healthy, and I want him to be happy with himself, and I want so much for him because his life, you know, he deserves so much more than what he's been given so far, and I just, you know, I just want so much more for him. That being said, though, he and my grandma don't really get along, and by my grandma, I mean my mom's mom. And I think that my grandma, I'm sorry, not my mom. I think that my grandma, you know, because of his dad, I think that she holds that against Kelly, which I don't think is very fair. It's not his fault. I think that she resents him a little bit. And I wish that they would just get to know each other the way that I know both of them, because they're both amazing people. Like, I love my grandma. She's one of my favorite people in the entire world. But so is Kelly. So it's just like, I don't know. I wish that they knew each other the way that I knew them. I mean, my heart breaks at the thought that they may never know each other the way that I know them, and they were not going to have this relationship that I want them to have. But that's, you know, that's their relationship. That's something that they have to work through themselves, and they have to want those things. So I kind of just have to be there and support each other and let each other know when they're crossing a line, of course. I mean, so with the fact that he lives there and I live here, it's very frustrating because I don't get to see him as much as I would like to. I didn't get to watch him turn into this wonderful man that he is now. And I try to be there for his milestones, but I mean, there are so many milestones that people don't act like are milestones. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be there for his high school graduation, but I wasn't there for his first girlfriend. I wasn't there for, I don't know, like all the crazy little things that make you who you are. I'm not there for that. I'm not there to see any of that, and that, you know, that upsets me. But I mean, at the end of the day, he knows that I'm proud of him, and he knows that I love him very much, and that I wish him nothing but healthiness and happiness. But he also knows that I'm here for him whenever he needs. Hint, hinto. Whenever he needs, I'm just a phone call away. Hello, hello. But yes, so that is Kelly. I think that is all that we have to say about Kelly. I hope. I hear that he is going to see a therapist or counselor or somebody along those lines, and I'm very proud of him because it is not an easy thing to do, to go and talk to somebody about your problems, but it's also not an easy thing to do to sit here and talk to a bunch of strangers about your problems either. So, I don't know. It's hard either way you look at it, so I'm super proud of him for that, and I'm so happy that it was his idea. To my understanding, it was his idea. He went to mom and said, hey, this is what I want to do. And mom said, hey, I am listening to you, and this is what we will do. So I'm super proud of both of them for that. But let's talk about my younger brother, and we will call him Duncan. That is the name that we are going to use. Duncan. Duncan? Duncan. I feel like I should pick a different name because I can't really pronounce that one apparently, but Duncan. Duncan and I are very similar as far as appearance, but we are very different as far as personality. He and I were always very close when we were little, and it breaks my heart to think of his childhood because, so Duncan was like the target for my stepfather. I don't know why. I don't know what it was about him, but it was just like my stepfather was like, hey, you there with the face, I hate you, and your life is going to be terrible. And it literally, I know it doesn't seem like it right now, but it literally breaks my heart and my soul to think about how terrible and how lonely and how painful his childhood was, because he was even more isolated than we were, because he wasn't just isolated from the outside world, he was also isolated at the house, which is difficult to do, but it can be done by crazy people. It can be done. He always received the most violent physical abuse from my stepfather, and he was always blamed for everything. Like anything that went wrong, it was obvious. It was always Duncan's fault. Always. There was never any explanation as to why it was his fault. It was just always his fault. He was constantly mistreated for no other reason that I could tell than just breathing. Like I said, it is almost as if my stepfather said, "Hey, you there with the face? I hate you. Your life is going to be terrible." And I don't know why. I don't know why that was. I don't know why he hated him so much, and I don't know why he was targeted for everything, but he was. there were times when my stepfather would make us punish Duncan. And so by that I mean like we had to yell at him or we had to slap him. And that involved, like I said, yelling at him or hitting at him. Obviously, I just said that. But I hated every second of it. I didn't like any of it. And in truth, I hated that more than anything that ever happened to me. I would have rather what happened to me 10 times more so than me to ever have had to... Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I didn't know that this was y'all's area. I would have rather that than to have to do those things to Duncan. My brother was very neglected, and thinking back, he was very skinny and scared and like this little quiet, mousy type. And I mean, I hate thinking of what it must have been or what he must have been feeling during those years. But I mean, and I tried to keep my stepfather happy, and I tried to take some of the blame for things, and I tried to, you know, take the brunt of it sometimes, but it was just like nothing helped. I guess that's what happens when you have 6 cats. They just kind of climb everywhere. My apologies, guys. I mean, when I think back to him and I think about how skinny and scared he was, and now I think to him now and how happy and how healthy he is. I mean, he's married. He has 2 kids. Well, a child on the way, so 2 kids. He's doing very well for himself. He's done very well for himself as far as schooling and his career. He's doing, I mean... he's doing very well. And, you know, everybody, I say everybody, but people who know the story, they always credit me for the end of it all. But to be honest, it was actually Duncan. I mean, I came home one day and he was standing up to the stepfather, and I was like, oh, well, this is it. This is the time to act. So, I mean, in the end, at the end of the day, at the end of the story, I will always credit it to Duncan, even though people want to give me credit for it. I mean, I'll take it. That's nice. But at the end of the day, he started it. He started the revolution, and I just helped finish it and make sure that he did not die, because I really thought that was going to happen that day. So I'm just going to skip over some of this stuff, because it's kind of stuff that I mentioned already. So we're just going to scroll. So then we have my sister, and we're going to call her Elle. That's a pretty name that I came up with. Look at me, coming up with interesting names. Except for Duncan. I don't know where that came from, and I don't know why I can't pronounce it as well as I thought I was going to be able to. But let's talk about my sister. Her name is Elle. Elle and I used to not get along, but is that not the story of all sisters? She used to think that I was this nerdy, dorky girl that would follow her around and that was, like, totally obsessed with her every move. And yes, those things were true. I was this weird, dorky girl who followed her around and was obsessed with her and thought that she was, like, God on earth. I mean, she and I have become ever so close now. I mean, she's like my best friend. We're partners in crimes. And I think all things wonderful for that. She is truly an amazing person and mother. She and I went through very similar things. My stepfather started on her first before he started in on me. And, you know, that is what it is. It just, you know, when you have a crazy sick person like that, that's the way that things go. And I wish that she didn't have to go through that. I wish that none of us had to go through that. You know, mostly I wish that my siblings didn't have to go through that. I mean, we all deserve better than that. So my sister, she moved out. I forget how old she was. When she moved out, I was very sad and I was very upset because I felt like she was abandoning me to deal with what was left. But I understand that she needed to get out, and I understand that she needed to get away, because she did. I mean, we all did. And I'm glad that she did, because had she not have, you know, when everything went down and we fled the scene, where did we flee to? We fled to her apartment. So if she hadn't moved out, I don't know where we would have gone. I'm sure we would have found somewhere to go because we're resourceful people. But I mean, without her apartment, you know, there was just like, it was kind of like, okay, where do you go after this kind of thing? I mean, she has some things to work on. She's not a perfect person, but I don't think any of us are perfect people. I mean, we all have things to work on. I have things to work on. I'm not going to say that I'm not. I definitely am not a perfect person. I'm not a whole person yet. One day I will be. I hope. I pray. But one day I will be. I mean, so... like I said, none of us were able to walk away from this unharmed, and none of us were able to walk through the fire without getting burned. But we were able to walk away together, right? We're not perfect people, but we're perfect together. We're a little tribe of warriors, if you will. And I love my tribe of warriors. They are, they're my rock. They're my people. They're my support. I know that if I need any of them, they're just a phone call away. I know that no matter how mad we are at each other, we're still going to, praise each other's accomplishments, and we're still going to be happy for each other. And I'd like to think that, that even though those years with my stepfather were the strangest and the most heartbreaking for my siblings and myself, I'd like to think that we've survived because of each other. I like to think that because we had each other and we never lost that bond with each other, that we were able to pull through and make it out. Not only alive, but make it out and be better people. We've all got each other's backs. So if any of us slip up, there's the other person there to knock us back into reality and let us know who we are as people. Not a single one of us will ever doubt who we are as people. And if we ever do, then we have other people to back us up. You know what I'm saying? I've said people now a couple of times. I remember him trying to turn us on each other. And I remember that it working at the moment. And one of my friends told me, you had to do what you had to do to survive. And yes, that is a true statement. We did have to do what we had to do to survive. But at the same time, even though he tried to turn us on each other, all it did was make us closer. All it did was turn us into a stronger bond, a stronger tribe. And now we can sit back and laugh at his efforts of trying to break us up. And that's never going to happen, obviously. And yet they live there. We all live different places now. My mom and my sister and my brother in one state, my other brother in another state with his wife and 2 kids. I'm in one state and my sister's about to move to another state. We're all over the place. We're scattered across. But yet somehow we're still very, very close. And yet somehow we still know that if either of us need the other person, we're right there, We may not talk every day like I would hope. We don't hang out every day. Obviously, we all live different places. But I consider them to be one of my best friends. Well, each one, that is. They're my best group of friends. Sure, sounds good. So, I would not be the woman that I am today without them. And I credit all of that, not only to myself, but to them too. I wouldn't sit here with 6 cattails in my face. No, I really wouldn't be the person that I am today without my siblings. So, with that, I hope you all have... That was a terrible segue. I apologize. I'll work on that in the future. But with that, I hope you all have happy... Okay, that's it. I can't talk. Happy, healthy lives, and I hope you all know who you have in your corner and that you never feel alone, whether it's your mom or your siblings or your loved ones or your friends. Friends can be very powerful people to have in your corner, let me tell you, okay? And I hope that you never feel alone. I hope that when you make it through the darkest times, that you know that there are going to be battle scars, because there really are going to be battle scars, and I wear mine proudly. I have no problem. Well, clearly I have no problem. I have no problem telling people that I go see a therapist, and I have no problem telling people why. That's a lie. I'm going to tweak that a little bit. The only problem that I have with telling people why is because I know that it's going to make them feel uncomfortable, which I think is stupid. Not that it's going to make you feel uncomfortable, because you're allowed to feel how you feel, and yes, it would make me feel uncomfortable too, but I think it's stupid that I'm worried about telling somebody why I have battle scars because I'm worried that it's going to make them uncomfortable. It sounds weird, right? Isn't that a weird thing that humans do? Anyway, let me not ramble on about that. Like I said, I wear my battle scars proudly because, not because I had to fight a battle, but because I survived the battle. But because I survived that battle, I lived, I breathe now, I beat him, because I did, mofo, I beat you. And I get to say that every day to myself, and I get to be proud of myself. And any time that I accomplish something, it's in spite of him. And it is in spite of him trying to break up my family, because my family's here, and my family is stronger than ever. So, with that, now I leave you, and I hope you nothing but love and happiness and a healthy life. Goodbye, my doves.